Good evening and welcome back to the Smart Questions Club presented by Utah Political Hub. Tonight we have the distinct honor of coming after a small event, the GOP debate, the first one of the 2016 primary season, and it was a fun one. Tonight we have joining us from the very reputable, and you should follow it, UtahPoliticalCapital.com, editor-in-chief and grand poobah, Curtis Herring.
Well, thank you for having me. Those are far too nice of accolades, but I'll take them.
And Curtis, you started a new blog, a new podcast recently that everyone should tune into.
Yes. Go Sports Team, the most unique sports team on the internet, wherein we don't actually talk about sports very much at all. I talk too much Utah politics, and so I needed something else to nerd out on.
Cool. And then we have Austin Baird. Austin, tell us about yourself briefly.
I have a very cute daughter. I like to run long distances, and I host a debate watching party on my Facebook wall every debate, where we get together and commiserate over the loss of our once great political system.
That's pretty much how I felt, so I can go with you on that.
We hit over 800 comments tonight on Austin's debate wall, I think, right?
Yeah, we'll break 1,000 next time.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to join this. I think we can get that over 1,000 tonight if we just get on there and dink. And then, of course, as always, we have Kurt Bentley, my co-host and editor over at Utah Political Hub. Kurt, raise your hand there. All right. Let's just start off then with a general question. We had 10 candidates on the stage for the debate. There was an earlier debate this afternoon for the kids' table. Brief impressions. Who wants to go first?
I'll step up as the person that had absolutely nothing to watch other than the show. I'll say it this way. As an American, I was not very impressed with any of the candidates, really. Bush and Rubio, I can handle, I can tolerate. But as a Democrat, let me tell you how much I love these guys. Because Donald Trump was fantastic for the Democrats. Walker was great for the Democrats. Just about everybody up there had their moment of just how far right the Republican Party, or at least the candidates for the Republican nomination, have gone and have moved away from what I feel the voter wants. And so as an American citizen, I'm very concerned. As a Democrat, I'm very excited.
Austin, from your Facebook page, it sounds like you guys had a healthy discussion. Do you agree? Was it a disappointment for America, for Democrats, a win for Republicans? What did you see?
It depends on what you're watching the debate for. If you're watching the debate for entertainment, it was a win for everybody involved. If you're watching the debate looking for a bunch of red meat thrown to the far right, I think it was also a success. If you're watching the debate hoping to see somebody who wants to kind of bring the Republican Party back into, some sort of party that can govern, some sort of party that can win a general election, I think both Bush and Kasich made overtures that way, but overall, I mean, there was nobody on that stage who would stand a chance in the general election.
Kurt, what do you think? Talk to us from the middle now.
What's that?
Talk to us from the middle now.
Well, from the middle, I watched to try to see if anyone would come over my way, and I think, like Austin said, you had Kasich, who had a couple moments. Bush, who had a couple moments on some things. Rand Paul is, the polls are always a little interesting because you never quite know what they're going to do. Maybe with Rand, you know a little bit more than you did with his dad. One sense, another sense, you know exactly what they're going to do, and it usually says something that will appeal to a moderate or even to somebody on the left over the course. And you heard a couple of those things from him, I think, tonight. But, geez, there wasn't much. The thing that disappointed me most, coming at it as much from a political perspective and as a policy perspective, is just what you heard on illegal immigration, outside really of Bush. And when I hear that, when I hear the Republican candidates for president thinking that this is how they have to appeal to their party, it just depresses me.
I'm gonna jump in with Kurt on this. I kind of thought and hoped that after Romney's self-deportation debacle from 2012 that the GOP would realize that running to the hard right, talking about building a wall, calling any sort of attempt to let people who have stayed in this country for years and have paid taxes, to let them stay, calling, this knee-jerk reaction to call it an amnesty. I kind of thought that they would get away from that, but it was pretty disheartening to see that they moved right back into that.
But Trump did say he put a big golden door in that wall.
I really wasn't actually surprised at all that the Republicans went to the right. I mean, look at what Trump has been saying, and look at overall how the Republicans have been responding to him. Now, I don't know if that's going to change after tonight, but at least in the lead-up to this debate, the people that are going to be choosing the Republican nominee have been eating that stuff up. And so I wasn't surprised at all to see that the rest of the nominees were willing to go even further right than what we've seen in the past. I for the most part, I like Jeb Bush's response. I didn't agree with all of it, but it certainly was the most moderate and the most palatable, I think, to the American people. But the rest of them, they're chasing the polls, they're trying to get ahead, and when you don't have your own plan, you latch on to what's currently working. And I think that's what we saw with the administration in particular tonight.
Yeah, I think they're, with respect to that, I think you're right to an extent. They're chasing polls, and it's not something that doesn't resonate with at least more than a few of the American people. But politically, it's just suicidal. I mean, in my view, and that's what just makes me shake my head every time. So hopefully it comes around a little more. Go ahead, Austin.
I was having a conversation about this today, and as much as I would like to see the party move to the middle on immigration, stop, as Kurt said, committing political suicide, I think that the Republican Party needs to implode before it can get itself back together. And so as an American, I would like to see Bush, I would like to see Kasich, I'd like to see somebody palatable win the nomination. But I would really like to see, I think it would be best if Ted Cruz won, and all of the Republicans who have spent the last 4 years saying that we got to get the squishes and the rhinos out of office and elect a real, God-chosen conservative, nominate a real conservative, and let the country see what real conservative values look like. I say we finally give them their chance. Put Ted Cruz up there, let him lose in a landslide, and then maybe the GOP can get itself back together.
Okay, this is all good overall impressions, but we're talking about the donkey, the elephant in the room. Donald Trump. Everybody's waiting for him to fail tonight miserably. They want everyone to go after him, come out of the race, drop in the polls. They're convinced that if he flops, he'll leave. He didn't flop tonight, did he? It's hard for me to point at his performance and say he's going to drop. He got in good jabs. He shut down Rand Paul multiple times, and he didn't have any problem taking Bush and saying, "What a gentleman here." I think he's going to stay where he's at, and maybe even rise.
So. I think you asked two different questions there. You asked if Donald Trump, probably. You asked if Donald Trump is going to leave the race. He's never going to leave the race, and if he does, he's going to run as an independent. He raised his hand and said he would. But the question
that's probably what Bill told him when he called, right? Is could you do this and then run as independent?
Right, and so he's not going anywhere. Now, if you asking the questions, will Republicans continue to embrace him? That's another question. And I think tonight, he upset a lot of Republicans, and I think rightly so, to be perfectly honest. But I don't think Trump is going anywhere. He can finance his own race. He's shown that he's willing to do it. And the longer he stays in, the harder it is for the Republicans overall to have a strong candidate coming out of this whole process. And I don't know if that's what Trump is going after, but he's certainly not in it to make friends, and I think he showed that tonight.
Well, there's something else at play here too. I think it's not just that he didn't make any friends. I think he played the role that he plays on The Apprentice or every other show that he's been on. He came out. He was entertaining. He was sharp. He was confident. People who aren't watching this with the in-depth knowledge that the three of the lawyers and the inside Politico in the room are watching it with are going to say this was entertaining. And then when they talk too long, what do they hear? Bells, rings. It sounds like a game show up there, right? Who benefits? The guy who knows how to win a game show.
I saw someone, I think it was probably over on Austin's wall, somebody made a comment that said, Donald Trump sounds like a boss, and these other guys sound like people interviewing for jobs. And I thought that was exactly right. He played, and I thought the other candidates tiptoed around Donald Trump. The person who takes on Donald Trump and gets skewered on live TV has a lot to lose. And they come off as being the one who got schooled by the fool, who the whole country thinks is the fool, but nonetheless watches for those exact moments. So I think they tiptoed around him, hoped he was going to implode. I don't think he imploded, but on the other hand, every time Donald Trump walks something back or tones something down, which he did just a couple of times tonight, he becomes less Donald. And I think as he becomes less Donald, he becomes less interesting. And eventually either that will happen and he'll kind of fade into the background, although as Curtis suggested, maybe never entirely go away and still kind of be a thorn in the side, or he'll just implode, and then just be a circus sideshow that eventually people get tired of covering, maybe.
Well, you got to look at the incentives, and every Republican who was on that stage tonight is in the top 10. The mere fact that they were in a debate means that their poll numbers are, they're probably going to be in the next debate, and they have no incentive to attack and possibly get skewered by Trump. The Republicans in the B team debate earlier today, they'll go after Trump because they need any sort of publicity they can get, but if you're on the stage, you're trying to play it safe until he inevitably implodes.
So let me ask you about this. The one person I didn't see on the stage that I heard or saw mentioned a lot in commentary and social media was Carly Fiorina. What's your read on that? What's going on with that?
You mean why wasn't she on the stage? Sorry, you go ahead.
No, what's your read on why is she getting so much attention without even being on the stage or polling in a place that she should be on the stage?
So I didn't watch the B team debate. I got kind of the rundown, but it was my understanding that she actually came out fairly strong. Now, as I not so eloquently put it earlier, she was kind of the best of the worst. The B team, as you said, I mean, she may come to the top of the AAA, and to be frank and honest, like I said, I didn't watch the debate, so I can't speak too loudly about it. But it appears to me that maybe she, at the very least, was saying what people actually wanted to hear, and it wasn't necessarily just attacking, but some of the actual issues may have been addressed. And she certainly claimed victory on Twitter. I saw her do it. She asked for donations. So it could just be more of, hey, I'm actually not the worst person in the room. Give me a shot.
Austin?
Go ahead, Austin. I know you had something to say.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that, both Fox and the Republicans want Fiorina to be more of a player. Right now, you look up on the stage, and it's a bunch of white guys and Marco Rubio. And, well, wow. And Ben Carson. Sorry, Ben. I'm sure he's watching this right now.
Black Lives Matter.
Well, to be fair, you just gave him as much attention as he got during the debate.
That's true. I kept forgetting he was there. And same with Chris Christie. I thought Christie went out and found an IHOP somewhere. But I think the Republicans would really like Fiorina to take more of a role, get better poll numbers, have somebody, because one of the big complaints against Hillary Clinton is that she's got a long resume, but very few qualifications and very few actual achievements. So if they can get a strong, competent, capable woman to kind of put up against Hillary, that'll forestall any Democratic attempt to say, the Republicans are just the party of rich old white men. So I think that they're going to keep trying to make Fiorina happen, even if she doesn't.
I think that's a fair argument. Favorite zinger of the night? What was your favorite exchange between the candidates, between the moderators? I'll give you mine. Early on, I was excited to see Donald Trump called on his occasional, not so occasional, sexism, and I thought Megyn Kelly scored some good points, and she said, no, you really did, and repeatedly. What do you think? What was your favorite zinger tonight?
So that one was fantastic, and that was fun to watch. And I think Megyn Kelly did a very good job of handling that and shutting down Trump very well. But I found the exchange between Christie and Paul probably to be the most entertaining. It was the first time in my mind that they were really actually showing emotion and not just reading off of the talking points that were popular this week.
Right.
Paul obviously comes from this very libertarian point of view of let's not collect anything. He started to waver a little bit during his discussion, but then there was Christie who's like, nope, I'll do it. I'll just do it, and I don't care. And I at least found that exchange somewhat refreshing, if not grab the popcorn time. And so probably that was the most entertaining exchange for me tonight, was to watch those two actually debate each other on an actual topic that matters, which is kind of refreshing, to be perfectly honest.
Well, and isn't that what a debate is supposed to do, is draw distinctions between candidates? If you can't get out of them reading off the far right-wing emails that go around about Paul Selinsky or Saul Selinsky or whoever it is, then an opportunity for them to actually draw distinctions. I think that's rare, and that's important. Saul Selinsky, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Didn't Ben Carson refer to him?
Yeah, it's kind of a requirement. If you're a Republican candidate, you have to refer to Saul Alinsky at least once a week. So
Everyone got their shot.
probably my favorite part of the night was at the end watching each of the candidates try to outdo the other vis-a-vis their relationship with God. That was probably the most Republican thing that could happen in a Republican primary.
I love the license plate. I put license plates. That's how much God loves me, is I got license plates on mine.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's not a zinger, but that question about Revelation, how has God spoke to you and what has He told you to do for America? I just wanted to sit back and enjoy that and I thought the candidates generally handled it okay. It could have gone much worse.
See, and
what are the chances that gets asked in the debate in October? What do you think, Curtis?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What are the chances that question gets asked of Hillary and Bernie in October?
Oh, probably low. Just because I don't think if you were to ask them, are you running because God told you to, I think they'd say, no, I'm running because I think I'm the best candidate for the country. I mean, I don't even see that question coming up. And frankly, to the Democratic palate, that's not a palatable question to ask. It's very inappropriate for Democratic candidates by Democrats to be asked that question. So no, I don't see that coming up at all for the Democrats. Whereas for the Republicans, it's like the Blues Brothers, and they're all from a mission. They're on a mission from God.
Well, I couldn't decide. Like when I heard that question, I'm like, is this a trap? Or what is this? Are the people really wanting to know, or are they just throwing it out there to say, all right, one of you guys is going to slip up and tell me that God told you to repeal Obamacare, and I want to see who's going to do it. I couldn't figure it out because I didn't see it coming in even a Republican debate. That's such a bizarre question. It's not unheard of, certainly, within the Republican Party and among candidates to kind of talk that way and suggest that way sometimes, but in a debate, it surprised me, and I couldn't decide whether it was a trap or what it was.
Wrote the question as a joke, and it got left in there, and they asked it, and they were like, "Oh crap! I can't believe we just asked this question, but we're gonna have to roll with it." So,
another thing you talk about, the stereotypical response, the most Republican response, is God's involvement. The other thing that I thought was interesting is how much each one wanted to demonstrate how humble their roots were, whether their dad's a bartender or a janitor or their mom's a school teacher and had a part-time job. It seemed like everybody, well, except for Jeb, because obviously he can't.
No. I earned my name Jeb Even he tried.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Who won? Last question, and then we'll go. Who won the debate? Who rose? Who fell? Who won?
So,
go ahead, Curtis.
I would say, in my opinion, Bush, probably was the least unscathed, if that makes sense. I don't know if anyone really came out a solid winner. I will say that I think that Trump lost a lot tonight, but I don't think that there was a clear-cut winner out of this one.
Austin, go ahead.
I would agree. I think that I think Bush looked pretty unsteady in lots. He said the right things, but he looked nervous. He fumbled his words quite a few times. As far as losers go, as far as losers go, that I forgot that Cruz, Christie, and Carson were even on the stage. I think they were essentially non-entities as far as most of the viewers thought. But I think Trump. I mean, most people aren't watching this expecting to see Trump do something presidential. They're watching this to see Trump be Trump. And he was very un-Trump-like. So, I mean, the one thing that he can bring to the table, he forgot.
Every time the camera showed his face, it looked like he was trying to push a fart out his butt.
See, and I thought the same thing about Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I thought the same thing about
Cruz. I didn't see as much of Ted Cruz as I thought, yeah.
When he was on the camera.
No,
yeah.
Trump
for somebody
like,
you go.
I was just going to say, looked like he spent the last couple days Googling how to look smart, and when the camera panned to him, he was trying to, like, put that face on.
But he spelled smart wrong, like SMRT.
Yeah, if you Google how to look SMRT, you deserve what you get.
Kurt, who won, who lost?
Yeah, I didn't see a winner out there. I agree with Austin about Trump not being Trump. You know, I don't know what I expected, but I expected maybe a little bit more entertainment from him, and didn't see it. Carson, he seemed kind of sleepy and like a really nice person, but I thought he did not do well. I agree with Christie. I agree with, who was the other one you said, Austin?
Walker?
I didn't see a lot of Cruz. I mean, Cruz is supposed to be the consummate debater, and he just kind of hung out.
I agree. And then Walker, I thought the same thing about Walker. So, Rubio, he was there. He gave some of the most measured. He gave a couple measured answers, but just the way he spoke was.
Yeah, it was kind of a flat response, wasn't it?
Flat and forgettable. So.
I kept waiting for him to grab a bottle of water or something like that. Refresh himself.
Just awkwardly lean off to the side. Yeah.
And Kasich with his hand gestures, and Rand Paul too. He was very fond of doing this kind of thing. But so I don't know. I thought the kind of the four, Christie, Walker, Cruz, Carson, were the clear losers. Trump didn't do very well, and the others all were. They were okay, I mean, you heard a lot of what you would expect at a Republican debate. That's fine for some people, fodder for ridicule for others. So.
Yeah, it's still early. Well, hey, thank you, each of you. Thanks for jumping on, and let's stay tuned and let's circle back up as the debate and the campaign progresses. Let's see how things go. And one more plug for our friend Curtis Herring. See you, Austin. Thank you so much. One more plug for our friend Curtis Herring. Give us your sites.
Yes, so first of all, for the politically stuff, UtahPoliticalCapital.com. Follow us all week long for all the news that's important to you. And then for the not political stuff, go ahead and go over to redherring.net/GST. That's for Go Sports Team, the most unique sports podcast on the internet where we don't actually talk about sports.
I like it. Thank you. And again, this has been a production of Utah Political Hub. You can find us at utahpoliticalhub.com, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.